All right, today we are going to be writing different types of equations for lines. Writing different types of equations for lines. And hopefully from yesterday you remember that we've got slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form looks like y equals mx plus b. Then we're going to talk about two other forms today. One of them is called point-slope form. Point-slope form looks like y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And the other type of line we'll be writing today is going to be a line that's in what's called standard form. And standard form looks like ax plus by is equal to c. And then we're going to do a little bit of graphing and talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So, we are going to write an equation of a line that passes through negative 5, 2, with slope 3/5. Write an equation of a line that passes through negative 5, 2, with slope 3/5. So this point that you're given, these values, this is your x sub 1, and this is your y sub 1. And this slope, we talked about it yesterday, is also your m. So if you look right here at point-slope form, point-slope form is the letter y minus your y sub 1. Now, be real careful right here. You need to be careful, very careful right here and right here. Other than that, this is super easy. So we're going to write, if we're going to write an equation of a line that passes through negative 5, 2 with slope 5, 3, and I guess I should have said in point-slope form. We're going to write the equation in point slope form. So our point slope form is y minus our y sub 1 equals m times x minus our x sub 1. Now if you're given the slope and you're given a point, it's just a matter of replacing. The letter y stays the same. And then next to the letter y goes the opposite of your y sub 1, okay? Or minus y sub 1. So we can put minus, and our y sub 1 is 2, so it's y minus 2 equals. Next goes the slope, which is 3/5. Left parenthesis, the letter x. Now, this minus your x sub 1 right here, you can also read that as the opposite of your x sub 1. So what's going to go here in the parentheses is the opposite of your x sub 1, or the negative of x sub 1, which is positive 5. And there's your equation in point slope form. All right, so let's do it again now for write an equation of a line that passes through negative 5, 2 with a slope of 3/5. Now let's just do it for passes through the point 7, negative 1 with a slope of negative 3. So we're going to use your same standard form. So we're going to start with the letter y. And this is our x sub 1, y sub 1. So it's y minus our y sub 1. So look, our y sub 1 is negative 1. So this becomes a y plus 1. Slope's negative 3. Left parenthesis and the letter x. And then the opposite of our x value. So what's the opposite of our x value? Negative 7. Good. There's your equation in point slope form. And that's when you're given the point and you're given the slope. Any questions on that? Kind of like plug and play. Okay. Now we are going to write an equation in point slope form given 2 points. I'm going to write an equation in point slope form given the 2 points. So if you're given 2 points, and let's say you got a 3, 2, and a 5, 8. In the previous problem, you were given a point and you were given the slope and you wrote it in point slope form. Now you're just given 2 points. So you need to find the slope. All right? The first thing you do when you're given the 2 points is you find the slope. So I would label these. Here's my x1, y1, my x2, and my y2. And we need the slope of this line. So the m is going to be equal to, remember from yesterday, it's y sub 2 minus y sub 1. 8 minus 2. And then it's your x sub 2 minus your x sub 1. 5 minus 3. And 8 minus 2 is 6. 5 minus 3 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 3 is your slope. So now you're going to write an equation in point-slope form given 2 points. Since you're given 2 points, you need to write 2 equations. Okay? One equation with each point. So your first equation using the first point, if we use this point, we're going to get something like y minus 2 equals 3 times x minus 3. When we use the second point, we're going to get y minus 8 equals 3 times, what goes in the parentheses? X minus 5, good. So 2 ways to write a line in point-slope form. 1, if you're given the point, you're given the slope. 2, if you're just given both points. If you're just given both points, then you will find the slope first, and then you'll use that slope with the first point to write the equation, and then you'll use that slope with the second point to write the equation. Can y'all handle that? They ask you to graph it. I don't know. All right, now we're going to write an equation in standard form. All right, we're going to write an equation in standard form. And here's the question. Remember standard form, we just wrote that down. That's AX plus BY is equal to C. So a question, or the question you'll be asked today, is to write an equation of each line in standard form with integer coefficients. And you are given y equals 5/4 x minus 5. Now that's in slope-intercept form, and you need it in standard form. And this here is your standard form. This here is your, if my highlighter works, there we go. There's your standard form. So we need this equation, y equals 5/4 x minus 5, to look like ax plus by equals c. So what you do here is you got to move this 5/4 x to the other side of the equal sign. So you're going to subtract 5/4 x from each side. So what you're doing on this left-hand side, you're just doing some manipulation. All right, if you're subtracting 5/4 x from each side and you need it to look like this, we need whatever's in front of the x to go first. So we take our negative 5/4 x, we write it first. And then we need what's with the y, or what's in front of the y, to go second, right next to it, to the right of it. So that's a positive y, but when it's by itself, you don't write the positive sign in front of it. But when it's after a negative 5/4 x, you got to write positive y. And then your equal sign. And then you drop down what's left on the right-hand side, which is negative 5. And now, since we need to be using integer coefficients, that means we need a counting number in front of all these variables. So since this 5/4 has a denominator of 4, we're going to multiply everything by 4. And we're getting this 4 from right here. I want a bigger highlighter. Yeah, let's go real big. All right. So we're going to multiply everything by this 4, which is right here. Right here. Right here. So when we take everything, we're going to take 4. We're going to multiply it by negative 5/4 x. Then we're going to multiply 4 times the y. And we're going to multiply 4 times the negative 5. And the reason we're doing that, the reason we multiplied by 4, was to get rid of that fraction. So when you multiply by 4 right here, the 4's cancel and you get negative 5x. Plus, you got your 4 times y is 4y. And then you got your 4 times negative 5, and that's equal to negative 20. So there's your equation in standard form with integer coefficients. You guys all right with that? Anybody need to see another example of writing it in standard form with integer coefficients? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the intercepts. And graph each line. One thing about standard form of a line, it makes a line very simple to graph. All right? When a line is in standard form, it makes it very simple to graph. So I'm going to start off with the line that we just did. We're going to find the intercepts and graph the line. So if we got negative 5x plus 4y equals negative 20. And find the intercepts means to find the x-intercept and find the y-intercept. Okay? Find the intercepts and graph the line means to find the x-intercept and find the y-intercept. So what you do when you're finding the intercepts is you write the equation down and then you write it again. And then in order to solve for the x-intercept, the easiest way to do this is like this. Watch. You've got your two equations, right? Technically what you do is to solve for the x-intercept, you make y equal to 0. When you make y equal to 0, what's 4 times 0? 0. So it basically makes all of that disappear, doesn't it? It becomes negative 5x equals negative 20. And then technically, to solve for the y-intercept, you make the x equal to 0. And you would have negative 5 times 0, which is 0. So you would only have 4y equals negative 20. Well, here's what's easier. You're going to find the intercepts and graph. So in this first equation, just scratch out the y. Just get rid of it. And in the second equation, just get rid of the x. Scratch it out. And now solve what you have left. If negative 5x equals negative 20, and you divide by negative 5, then x equals 4. And if 4y equals negative 20, and you divide both sides by 4, then y equals negative 5. And those are your intercepts. And the second part of the question is to graph the line. So if you take this line and you draw your xy axis, your x-intercept is at 4. So your line hits the x-axis at 4. And your y-intercept is at negative 5. So you've got a point on the line at 4, and you've got a point on the line at negative 5. And then you connect the dots. Any questions there? So let's do one more of those. We're going to combine some steps right here. We're going to say write the equation in standard form. Find the intercepts and graph. So let's take something like y equals negative 3/5 x plus 3. So if we've got it in slope-intercept form, and we need to write it in standard form first. So we're going to add the 3/5 x to each side. So we get 3/5 x plus y is equal to 3. And now, since we need all whole numbers, we got to multiply. In the last equation, we multiplied everything by 4. Now we got to multiply everything by 5, because this 5 is sitting in the denominator. Agreed? So we're going to multiply by 5. By 5. So go ahead and multiply everything by 5 now. So we got 5 times your 3/5 x plus 5 times your y equals 5 times the 3. So these 5's cancel. 3x plus 5y equals 15. Now you're in standard form. That was the first part of the directions. Second part of the directions, find the intercepts. So once it's in standard form, and we're going to find the intercepts, remember we're going to write it again. So we got 3x plus 5y equals 15. After you've written it twice, we're going to scratch out the y in one equation, and we're going to scratch out the x in the other equation. And then solve the two equations. So right here, if we divide by 3, then x is equal to 5. And then in the equation on the right, you're going to divide both sides by 5. y is equal to 3. So those are your two intercepts. And then the third part of the instructions was to graph. So if you graph this thing, x-axis, y-axis, we're going to hit x at 5. We're going to hit the y at 3. Going to put a point on both of those intercepts, and then we're going to connect the dots with oh boy, that's a crooked line, but hopefully you get the idea. There's your line. So there's all three parts of those directions. Write it in standard form, find the intercepts, and graph the line. Anybody have any questions on what we've talked about today? All right, I gave you that handout yesterday, and your practice today is going to be on the second page of that handout, which is 86. Yes, ma'am. All right, I got one for you. Let me write this down first. All right, I got one for you. I got one for you too. Page 86, problems 10 through 29. All right, check focus. For homework. Check focus for homework. It's under alerts. Make sure you got your notes in front of you and yesterday and today's assignment complete. All right. Yesterday's assignment and today's assignment complete. If you weren't here yesterday and you need a handout, I got handouts right here. They're two-sided. And this.